Alrighty, welcome to all you entrepreneurs, spiritually awakened souls, seekers, skeptics, the whole kit and caboodle. This is the 50 Entrepreneurs in 50 Days Abundance Mission interview series. I am beyond excited to chat with my brother, Andrew Michael Hall. So let's dive into this Divine Mentorship Masterclass. I'll wait. Make sure to hit subscribe, guys, so that you get notified of all the gold and all the absolutely amazing souls that are coming out in this series. Okay, we're about upgrading humanity, giving you guys who are either looking to do business with services or looking for mentorship, looking for inspiration, looking to break through the matrix, whatever it may be, looking to upgrade your humanity and join us on our mission. Okay, please subscribe to the channel, share this if you get value. Let's get into it. All right. So, Andrew, listen, man, like, I'm not sure if, I'm not saying you should be deified or anything, but the day you gave me that interview on your Extraordinary Men's Network, um, I'm sure you were a bit shocked at the responses, and then you try to protect me from those responses on your channel. So I think the universe kind of gave you a standing ovation there, my friend. I'm dying to know what kind of world-shaking, jaw-dropping, unbelievable stuff have you got for us today?
Yeah, thank you, Rory. I mean, that was a great interview. I'd done quite a few by then, and nobody had yet been quite so raw and real with, what they were really going through and what they've been through. Like, it's fantastic to see that honesty and authenticity in somebody. So I thank you and applaud you for being you. So at the moment, for me, what I'm working on is kind of two fronts really. I'm developing, growing my visibility of my coaching practice online, and I'm also working as a founder member of a new platform called Bump Global. And that's kind of in parallel with, blowing up my visibility, but technically they're two different things in a way. But those are the two things that besides raising my 10-month-old baby and 3-year-old baby and my teenage stepson. Yeah, those are the things I'm doing at the moment.
Fantastic. So which one do we want to talk about today, or should we talk about a bit of both? Like, do you want to talk about Extraordinary Men's Network?
Oh yeah,
Um,
not to mention the Facebook community that I created at the beginning of last year. Yeah, yeah, we can cover all. They're all interconnected. They're all designed or implemented to complement each other, right? So, yeah, you fire away with your questions, and I'll tie them all together.
Well, first things first, I'll just say, look, you know what? I think people should listen to Andrew. You know, he's a very, very educated guy. You're doing a lot of stuff over there. But why don't you tell me a little bit about the why when it comes to the Extraordinary Men's Network? And then tell us a bit about Bump Global at the same time, if you will.
Yeah, so the why behind the Extraordinary Men's Network is, well, why men? Mainly because I am one and I resonate with the struggles that men go through. Like, I feel like I pretty much check most of the boxes in terms of what I've been through in my life and what I've managed to overcome and what I'm still working through. And the reason for a group or a community, essentially a private community, is that I've experienced the immense power of when men come together and feel, I don't want to say safe or comfortable, but whatever it is, they feel it's okay to open up and share, whether it's what they're going through or what they've been through, how they're dealing with it or how they dealt with it, etc. And that helped me, overcome my biggest challenge 4 years ago, which was alcoholism, and being in private rooms where people shared their worst times in their life. and how they got through it and where they are now. There's so much, it checks all the boxes for inspiration, motivation, and kind of proving that there's an alternative way of living, right? Like there's guys in there that have done the hard work for over 30 years and they're living their best life. And like, it's like for a longest time, I just thought, this is me. I'm a drinker. I'm a wreck, whatever. Couldn't see any other way of living until I was lucky enough to hear other people's stories and realize that I'm not terminally unique. I'm not the only one, who's experienced this disease or this complication, this challenge, and I want to pay that forward. I want to give that to more people. And it's not just about alcoholism. It could be any addiction. It can be marriage issues. It can be self-esteem, whatever these guys are going through. I want to hear their stories. I want to hear where they are now, any advice they have for, how they went from A to B kind of thing. And that's why I made the group. And so far we've had, excuse me, a bit of a cold. So far we've had over around 40 interviews, 40 men, and they've all, come out very brave and shared, really some really moving stuff. I'm really touched by how many guys, don't know me. They don't know other people in the group. They're just like, "Hey, brother, I want to share." And some of it's, like shocking and kind of unbelievable. But I'm so grateful that they're doing it because I know there are at least one, if not dozens of other guys that are thinking, "I thought I was the only one," you know. So that's the big why behind really it all, like my sobriety, becoming a life coach, creating the Extraordinary Men's Network, and stepping into Bump Global to just amplify my exposure and reach to, get hopefully more people to see what we're doing.
Amazing. Well, first of all, Andrew, congratulations on giving men a place to speak out. I think that we're marginalized a lot these days. Apologies to my female audiences that, I'm not saying that women aren't marginalized as well and that that's not a real issue. But the issue that I see coming up a lot these days is, we're not really allowed to speak out. We're told to speak out on Movember here in Australia. Like one day a year you can speak out, males. All right. If you speak out in a context of an online audience, you might be on Facebook, Twitter, whatever it may be, and if you stand up to yourself against some of these, I'm just going to call it what I call it, you know, kind of flat track feminists who seem to take everything like everything I don't agree is a feminist. For instance, my wife's a feminist. She's a strong woman, right, who stands her ground on key issues. I look up to her. Okay, she's my leader. Like that's my wife, right? I see her as the ultimate feminist. Okay, I get really kind of done over and a bit triggered, I guess, if a feminist wants to focus, their arguments around, well, you guys, you males are allowed to screw around as much as you want, and you get called heroes, but we do it, and we're called SLUTSs. To me, that's just lowering yourself down to the lowest common denominator male, right? And also putting males in a box that people think, oh, yeah, males all think that the guy who's screwing around is a hero, which is just nonsense. Okay, so I get triggered by that online, but I respect feminism. Everyone, any gentleman, I believe, is a feminist. Okay, we recognize the differences between males and females, but this is about males today. Okay, so we're here to empower males to speak more because we
Yeah.
speak less, right?
We are not about, restricting or empowering women. This is just about providing guys who normally maybe wouldn't feel comfortable, being vulnerable to make them to allow them to feel that it's safe to share without judgment, right? We're there to listen and learn and not judge and criticize. Give advice maybe if it's asked for, but yeah, it's not about the women. It's not about their opinion of us. It's about us, you know, bonding and building camaraderie to level each other up.
Exactly. And I think that's a really good program, right? I know my mates that are struggling. I know that I have struggled in my life. I know that when I was young and I went through, difficult, lost my brother at 18. So, when I went through that, my belief was, I'm 47 now. I think I'm 46 actually. But God knows how old I am now, but when I was that age, it was a different time, right? You don't cry, stand up, be the man of the house, talk about nothing, right? And then what ends up happening is you start covering stuff up. You cover up the pain, you experience the pain instead of integrating it, and that pain can repeat over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Okay, so congratulations, Andrew, for giving men a place to speak about their pain, perhaps feel it in a wider format without having to use things that society, tells us, without having to kind of think along the same grounds that, we need to be tough, we need to be strong all the time. We shouldn't cry, we shouldn't show emotion, whatever it is, because of whatever box people want to put people in. Okay. Congratulations on you for that. So to you for that. Tell me about Bump Global now and how that kind of fits in because I'm really interested about that, and I think the audience is gonna like to hear about that too.
Yeah, so it's definitely a work in progress. The prototype has just launched a couple of days ago. Um, so I can give you an overview. I'll provide you with a link if you want to share it with, on the description. And there's a bunch of videos and presentations where you can definitely get a much better idea. Essentially, it's a new platform for social media or networking, you could say, that sits above the regular kind of mainstream social media platforms. At the moment, it's just Facebook, but every quarter they'll be implementing another platform. And essentially, it allows you to cross post and cross link profiles and there's different ways of sharing things on LinkedIn than there is on Facebook, but this platform's going to sit above it, so you'll be able to interrelate with people who are only on TikTok or LinkedIn with your Facebook people. And inside Bump Global, there's going to be its own platform, shall we say, for sharing content, for building a community, for having live conversations, for having asynchronous chat. So there's going to be a lot of ways to essentially meet the people that you want to meet without having to, I don't want to say worry, but for me, like going on to Facebook is always a roll of the dice about whether I'm going to get to see what initially wanted to see, or if I'm going to get drawn down a rabbit hole of, cute puppy dog memes and God knows what. So this platform, no advertising, no spam. It's all about entrepreneurs, coaches, healers, therapists, nutritionists, light leaders, as you say, all those people coming together to elevate one another. So part of the platform is we're strongly incentivized to boost each other. So you become a member and you get to boost each other. But we also get to boost people outside of Bump Global as part of our desire to serve, the greater good and the greater population. So I'm super excited to get going with it. We're doing something called Globalites TV. So it's Bump Global, and there was a lot of discussion about, well, what are we? Are we bumpers? And we're like, that doesn't sound good, bumpers. And so somebody said, oh, well, Bump Global, global lights, meaning because we're from all over the world, right? It's a global platform. I'll say most people are in North America and Europe, but there's a few Aussies and Kiwis, and there's me in South Korea. So somebody came up with the idea of globalite, not just globalite as in, somebody who lives globally, but also we light up the globe with our presence and with our energy and our passion. So it works on two levels. But yeah,
Global light
Globalites,
workers.
yeah. So
It's in with
Globalite
our thing.
TV is going to be a branch off that where we get to go live every day. We get to bring on people. We get to have discussions. And yeah, I think it's going to be a shock to some people like in 6 months where they missed the boat on the early adoption and they yeah, it's going to blow up, I'm sure. The heart and soul that is in this thing and the community that's growing, it's fantastic. So I'm really excited to be working in it. Yeah.
Okay, mate. And so is this just let's just get it out there for the people who think, things are scams and stuff. Like,
Oh, sure, yeah. Everything's a
I'm
scam,
not
man.
gonna go down that rabbit hole too much, mate, because people have taught me you see what you want to see. Life's a
Yeah.
mirror. If you see scams, you're gonna get scammed. If you see bad stuff everywhere, you're gonna get bad stuff everywhere. And I've lived that side of it, so
Yeah.
not gonna entertain that too much. It's something I learned from my mentor. But what are you gonna say to people who
Yeah.
say, bump global? Okay, sounds like an MLM, and MLMs are bad.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of MLMs are bad. I mean, it's just I'm not going to even bother trying to change the minds of the skeptics. Like if you believe MLMs are bad, then whatever, don't work with them. Like there are good MLMs, there are good, good heart-centered companies out there that aren't just billionaire profit driven. They help a lot of people in their organization, but that's not us. Anyway, it's not MLM. It does have incredible affiliate incentives to keep people in and to kind of encourage participation. But that's not even what I consider the selling point. For me, it's the main guy that had the vision, Amos Bracewell. I've worked with him for a couple of years now. First year was kind of on the sidelines, just watching what he was doing with his Facebook group. Over over 12 months, he got over 10,000 members in the group, and then by the end of the second year, we're at like 22,000 members, and they're all like Bump Global. They're all healers and therapists and counselors and coaches and just people who, you know, live from their heart and want to serve and help. And I know that that's Amos's style. I know that's what he's about. He's creating all these financial incentives as a way to give back to people. Like he wants everyone to succeed. He's not in it just to make himself a billionaire. He has to run a business, of course, but I know him just from working very closely for the last year in his Catapult program, which was a educational program to help people organically grow a niche Facebook group and then monetize it. And he absolutely delivered, man. He's always available. He's always reaching out with private, like personal one-to-one voice messages, and he could be considered rough, I guess, in his language and behavior, but it's from a place of genuine compassion and desire to help. So when he introduced us to this big plan he had for Bump Global, I was right in from the beginning, just because I know he's a man of integrity, he's a man of tenacity, and he does what he says he's going to do. And so to those people who are doubting, I would say check out any of the founding members who were there. There's 87, I believe, at the end of closing on the 15th. Ask any of them why they joined. I think you can even see their testimonials on the page, and they all pretty much mention the same thing because the guy who founded this is just incredible. And the community, everyone falls in love with the community. Everyone's im impassioned because of the people who are in it and contributing to the growth of it. And I can't understate how meaningful that is for me to have those people in my life who are, big vision driven, heart centered leaders. Yeah, I love it.
I absolutely agree. In fact, I prefer the rough. I prefer the rough ones around the edges. In fact, um, someone who got through to me recently, my mentor, and this might even sound a bit rough itself, but this guy like fought for me. He was telling me the stuff that first of all he got through to me when no one else could, right? He was fighting for me in a way no one else could. He heard me and saw me like no one else could. And when he needed to get, he would not let up on the fact that, I needed to unlearn a lot of stuff, right? I needed to unlearn stuff. I needed to get rid of this ego that had just gone massive, massive, massive from being a lone wolf for 7 years and like kind of convincing myself I had to be a really bad person at times to get rid of really bad people, just justifying stuff all the time, right? He wouldn't let up on that. In fact, he said to me one day, he said, Rory, if you don't fix this, man, you think you're at rock bottom right now, you're gonna go, you don't know what rock bottom is, mate. You could be dead soon. Someone needs to beat the shit out of you.
Mm.
That's what he said to me. And you know what? Like I like that, that might sound really rough to some people, but I'm a tough guy, man. Like I'm a tough guy. I need tough love. Every coach that I've ever had was tough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes the rough ones, the ready ones, right? The ones that refuse to quit on you, right? They're the ones that are going to tell you the hard stuff. And that absolutely is in line with how my father raised me, right?
Yeah.
He said, Rory, you're going to have, now it might be different today because we're in an online world today, and my dad's nearly 86 right now. But he's the ultimate leader in my life, is my father, right? He raised me well. He was everywhere for me. He was at soccer for me. He wasn't, a long spoken, long winded guy like me. But when he spoke, you listened, right? And he said, Rory, you're gonna be able to count your friends on one hand. Okay? And they're the ones that are gonna tell you the stuff that you don't want to hear for your own good, right? I like the rough and ready people, and I want people to be on this show that are rough and ready because I think that we're going through a global shift right now, and this is why I'm really engaged with people like you, Andrew, and with what's going on in the world today. Like I see a global shift happening. I see the online world as leading, right, as leading the way and showing people a better way, showing people that we can evolve, we can get to a high level of consciousness. So absolutely subscribe to the rough and ready, Andrew, and absolutely subscribe to anything that you would tell me because we're friends. But for people who aren't friends with you, who
Mm.
don't know you, um, who don't know what's his name? Good God. Um,
Amos Bracewell.
yeah, you guys go check him out, right? But how do we, where do people go to find out about that kind of stuff? Is that going to be in description? Is there something about Bump Global that they can go to check
Yes,
this out?
absolutely. The link that I'll give you to post with this video will give them all the information and lots of details. And yeah, I mean, I we're also doing regular weekly, if not daily, calls where anyone who's interested, like basically the way it is, you message me and say I'm interested. I say great. I'll give them the Zoom information, and they can join a VIP Q&A call where Amos will be there, the tech guys will be there, and you get a chance to listen to what they say about, describing it if you like. And they also get Q&A time. They get to ask any questions they have about how it works and what is available, what's not available. And they're doing that every day. If at least they were doing it every day until launch, which is the 15th. It might be every Saturday moving forward, but they're very open and very easy to contact and very willing to share with anybody who's curious about, what their goals and what they're building. So
Yeah, yeah, mate. So look, what do you say to people who are like, you know what, important people, their time's important, their time's valuable. They're not going to be jumping around on like Amos Bracewell, giving everyone their time of day. What do you say to people like that who still live in this era of like, scarcity and my time's important, it's more important than yours, and if I don't reply to your messages or whatever, that's because I'm busy, right?
I, to be honest, my gut says I don't talk to them. If they're not that open, if they're so closed-minded to the way things are, like they've absolutely nailed it. They've put all their labels on things. That's not my job to change their minds. This is absolutely only for people who have a curiosity and a desire to, do something different, to be a part of a movement that's going to grow and to help and serve people. So if that's not you, don't bother. Like if you just want to talk to me to say this is stupid and everyone's mean and everyone's just trying to just okay, get out of my DMs.
Yeah.
Like there's
Yeah.
no help in some people. I've learned the hard way. So yeah, if you're that skeptical, don't just do something different. Go back to your nine to five and don't trust anybody. Don't let anyone into your life, and see how that gets you.
And about the 9 to 5, we're not judging people that have 9 to 5s,
No,
right?
definitely not.
That's
It's a
the
very
last.
honorable. There's honor in every work. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, and there's people out there that say burn your ships and all that stuff, right? Burn your ships, like go leave your 9 to 5, burn your ships. But part of that story that they kind of leave out is that was a commander that burned the ships, and then he sent
Yeah,
the warriors in to do the fighting for him, and you know,
absolutely.
like they didn't really have much of a choice.
No.
And yeah, they took the city, but there was a lot of damage, right? One of the things that definitely with what we do in our group is do not burn your ships, right?
No.
Don't leave your 9 to 5. But why is it important, right? For people to perhaps explore having an extra stream of income.
Well, I think uh I don't want to go into conspiracy theories or down a rabbit hole of technology and global economy things that are going on, but I do believe that I think everyone should be aware by now that there's economic instability in almost every country at the moment. It doesn't affect everyone. However, if you think it might affect you, don't just ignore it and leave it up to chance. There's definitely ways and means to get, whether it's passive income or a side hustle, you know, do something that you're passionate about, especially those people who are, in the 9 to 5 job that they don't really enjoy. The salary's good, so that's why they do it. But, at the end of every day, they're like, oh, thank God that's over. Right. Maybe even more so, those people should because it's never been easier, to be honest, with online services and businesses and resources. It's never really been easier to start, a side hustle or a part-time job or a passion project. So yeah, just if you have that inner urge or calling to do something different that really lights you up, just do it, man. Get into it. Don't delay. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I have a job. I'm an English teacher. I'm a professor in a university. I tutor people. I do other things too. And I'm not going to give it up. I don't want to give it up. I'm lucky that I love my job. I'm lucky that I enjoy my students. But I still want to work more efficiently. Teaching has a long schedule and it's very rigid and it doesn't allow much free time for my kids. So sorry to jump ahead a little bit if this is another question, but my definition of success is to be able to spend more time with my family, and having a job is great and I love my students, but I love my kids more. I love my wife more, and the less time I can spend in the classroom and the more time I can spend in the playroom or in the park or whatever, that's what I want. That's my success. So my goal is really to kind of I don't necessarily want to make a lot more money, but I want to earn the same money in less time so that I have more free time for being with my family and creating memories and experiences for my kids. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, the coaching and the Bump Global, because I believe it's one of my routes into freeing up more time. and not sacrificing income per se.
Yep. And okay, like let's say that someone's watching here now, Andrew, right? They say, you know what? I'm a normal guy. I look in the mirror, like I don't see that much special about me. Like I don't have anything to offer in the online world, or something like that. That is there's some sort of doubt holding them back. Maybe they're an introvert or something. And they think, oh, I'm an introvert, so I shouldn't, I can't do social media or things like that. What would you say to someone like that?
Mm. I would say that was me, a couple of years ago. I never thought like I've done I don't know how many interviews I've done now, interviewing people and being interviewed by people like yourself, podcasts, YouTube interviews and stuff. Never would have done that. I needed people around me who saw things that I couldn't see about myself. One of my mentors or peers, I like to call her my fairy godmother. She says, if you don't see what I see, borrow my glasses until you do, right? And that sticks with me all the time. Like I used to hate, not, I used to reject compliments. I hated people talking well about me, and that's something I've worked on with my coach and my own journey of personal development. And the truth is, there is something special about everybody, right? You just gotta find out what it is. I mean, you might have to ask other people or do some introspective work, but there's something special about everyone. There's there's something everyone has to offer another human being that can make their life better, I believe. And whether you know it or not, I think it comes down to, do you want to know it? Some people just want to be ignorant. Some people just outright refuse to go beyond the status quo. Like, I keep doing what I've always done because that's who I am. And again, those are the people you can't change, right? Until they finally, through illness or aging or crisis, they're like, oh, I really need to do something different. Great, come and talk to me, But until that point, can't really change them. But if you feel that inkling inside yourself that there's more to do, there's more potential, there's more to give and to offer, then really embrace it, meditate on it, pray on it, whatever practice you use, journal about it. I recommend everybody to have a coach. It doesn't have to be an expensive coach, but you should have somebody to talk to that has the skill to ask the right questions, to bring that out of you, right? To face the reality that you are freaking special. You are magnificent. Everyone's uniquely magnificent. And it's not easy to accept it, but with work, a little bit of effort, it will happen. And then you'll be on interviews like this, telling other people, like, I never thought I was special until that. So, yeah, embrace that inner voice of saying, I can do more, I can offer more. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not thinking that, then you're comfortable, right? Like if you're not thinking I can do more, I can offer more, it's very likely because you're happy with what you do, you spend a lot of time with your family, you're comfortable with whatever it might be. But
Can I
if
disagree with you a little bit?
yeah, sure, that's what you're
Because
here
I
for.
think that's definitely possible. There's people who are also kidding themselves that they're comfortable and happy, right? They're so like certainty is such a strong need for humans that you'd rather be certain that being lonely and working a job that you don't like, you're certain of the outcome of that. You're gonna be unhappy. You're gonna wake up late tomorrow. You're gonna be gaining weight or whatever, and you're like, I know that's not good, but at least I know it's gonna happen, and that fulfills them with certainty, right? So, yeah, there are people who are comfortable in a good way and they don't want to rock the boat. Even if you tell them things could be better, they're like, no, I don't need it to be better. I just, this is good. And there's also the ones who are kidding themselves and just they prefer the certainty of the negative outcome over the risk of uncertainty where they don't know what's going to happen if they take a leap of faith, you know. So
Yeah, I subscribe to that. It's like, I'm like people who watch the news. I'm like to me, like when I look at it, I don't watch the news. In fact, I hardly watch any
don't
TV,
even get me started, man.
you
But
know.
me
But
too.
I mean, if
Gosh,
you want to get depressed, like if you want to know where depression comes from, like where all of this sickness and worse stuff come from, like this is my opinion, the news, okay? Because
yeah,
if you're watching something where it's just death, pain, heartbreak,
mm,
loss, kids dying, friggin' people dying in car accidents
yeah,
every single day, right? And people go, "Where's the depression come from?" Like
yeah,
when you start watching it, you're like,
yeah.
it becomes
Watch the
less
news,
bearable, you know?
or go and talk to your uncle or grandpa who has nothing to do all day but watch the news and let him tell you about all the problems. The armchair politicians, right? Let them tell you how bad the world is. It's like, and what are you doing to improve it? Oh, yeah, well done. Yeah, get
Yeah,
those
I'm sick
people,
and
toxic
tired of
people out of
hearing
your
about
life.
the bad side of the world, man. I went down the rabbit hole myself, you know what I mean? I went down there, okay? I went right down there to check out how bad the world was. I came out of it, and now it seems like everyone's going down there. It's like, hey, hey, hey. Like I went down
Yeah,
there so you don't have to,
yeah,
okay? So,
absolutely, absolutely.
stop subscribing to the news and stuff, guys. Like it's just making you sick, right? And I have a perspective of living back at home now and seeing it on every day. Like we don't have it's back in my life and I like literally have to get away from it because the energy just drives me insane.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. Moving along, Andrew, what do you say to people who think to themselves, well, everyone's a coach these days.
Everyone's sorry, what?
Everyone's a coach these days, man. You
Everyone's a
know, what makes
coach.
you special?
Yeah, I mean, fantastic if you have so many coaches in your life. Good for you. But if you mean that they're being facetious, then what makes me special is, and I say that so begrudgingly because I still have inner doubts. But you said the question, so I'm just going to use your words. What makes me special is that my mentor taught me two things, or he passed on two principles, and they're very intertwined. Essentially, the two are physician heal thyself and don't teach theory. So basically, he's saying do the work, do the strategies and techniques and processes on yourself first, heal yourself because, no coach is immune to depression or anxiety or fear. So do the work on yourself. And then when you come to work with someone or talk to somebody or just generally interact with people in your life, you're not doing it from a place of knowledge. You're doing it from a place of experience. I don't coach theory. I only coach people on what I've either done on myself or had done to me through my peers who we co-coach each other. And so that, I've had the journey of getting sober. I've had the journey of divorce. I've had the journey of, losing a child. I've had the journey of getting married and raising a teenage stepson. You know, I've had a lot of life experience and I've got through it. And I believe that I have a lot of value to give to those people who are going through those things now, who feel like there's no way through it. They feel like it's, never going to end. And I can tell them honestly, frankly, that it does and it can. And I can help, I can show you how to do it. So, yeah, that's why I'm a special coach.
You've gone through hardships. Guys, you might outgrow your coaches. Good.
Yep.
That's what you want to do, right? You want
That's
to
what we want.
outgrow your
Yeah, sure.
coaches,
When you don't
outgrow
need me
your
anymore, great. I can move on to the next person who needs help. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
and you've
exactly
done
what
your
we
job,
want.
right? You've done your
Right.
job. You know, I have, people ask me all the time, "Oh, what? Mate, why are you still doing this? Your life's like torture. It looks like you're torturing yourself, like, um uh, why you you act like like everything's so negative and bad on Facebook and blah blah blah. I'm like, no, man, no, that's you that thinks it's negative and bad. Like, that's just my truth, man. Like, that's the truth. That might help one person, right? It might help one person to see that people actually go through shit. People learn lessons. Um, and I absolutely know that if anyone wants to check out who I am, I don't really need to point them much further than my Facebook feed and say, look, you want my truth? There it is, and it's for 15 years there, right? So in terms of but I can tell you right now, Andrew, that I just wish I had a mentor. Okay, like I wish I had a mentor for the last 7 years. I wish that I had taken that after outgrowing my first mentor, that I had taken on a second one, because then maybe that wouldn't have been such a painful journey. But maybe that was
Mhm.
my path. You've got your path, Andrew. I know that you don't have too much time today because you've got family and you've got students to look after, you've got people to teach different languages and things like that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just move along right to the end here, my friend. Tell me one thing. Give people something powerful here. What what was can you talk about if you've ever had a dark night of the soul? Meaning, what in fact what turned you around at the toughest moments in your life, toughest moment in your life? Do you have something like that to offer?
I kind of touched on it earlier. It was absolutely when I accepted the fact that I was going to lose everything in terms of work, my wife, family, if I didn't stop drinking, basically. It was killing me, it was ruining my life. And I had to reach out to somebody. And for, I'll be forever grateful for that person who spoke to me as a human being, spoke to me with kindness and shared their journey with me, warts and all, and it absolutely changed my perspective on what's possible and what I can do to overcome this, dark night. And yeah, I forever owe that person. And you know what I owe them? They'll say, "You don't owe me anything. Just pay it forward to the next person you speak to." Right? So yeah, that would be it. That's what drives
Band-Aids
me.
don't fix bullet holes, mate. You know, that's one thing I've discovered from talking to people like you, Andrew, and talking to people online, and giving my time to this cause, which is to protect people from not going it alone in the business sector, as well as promoting, Christ consciousness in business and a higher level and a better way, getting out of the matrix. So thank you, brother, for sharing your truth today.
My
Um,
pleasure.
you know, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you again for giving me an outlet, a place where I could talk, and then for saying, Rory, you know what, are you sure you want this? And I said yes, and you respected that, and to me, I think you're doing a fantastic job. I will definitely be checking out Bump Global. If you want to look into Bump Global or you want to join the Extraordinary Men's Network, because you know what? You might not want to get out of your job, okay? You might just need to talk to someone, right? You might just need different perspective than you can get from your family and friends right now for whatever reason, okay? Extraordinary Men's Network, check it out. Check out Bump Global. Everything's going to be below. And man, I'm sure if you want to reach out to Andrew and get to know him, he's going to be just like the rest of the people I'm meeting, absolutely open to speaking to people, to giving people their time. You guys make the call. Hope you got some value out of this today. If you did, share it, okay? Pay it forward. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. Andrew, thank you, my friend, very much.
Thank you, brother. Been a pleasure. Have a
Bless you,
great
my
day.
bro.